Anything in there, it's entirely up to you. Kids calling.
Make me go by memory here.
I know.
That's tough.
It is tough. Sometimes I do my whole schedule and then I don't know what I'm doing. Even I write it down, then I'm like, what am I doing?
I do day by, well, I do a week on Sunday to look at what the whole thing and then day by day.
Break it down. Yep. All right, one more minute on it.
Our thing start on Thursday?
7.
Maybe not. Alex, our thing on
Oh,
Thursday?
your thing.
Wait, what? When we go to the.
7 to 9 and 2.
Noon and 2. See, I don't remember. I knew it was, hey, at least I knew it was on Thursday.
Okay, so you've got a couple of pieces filled out by now, I'm sure. Tell me just a couple of things, observations that are in your schedule. We're going to put it aside in a minute and then come back to it. What do you notice? What jumps out at you? You've got a ton of client work. You have no client work. You have a lot of prospecting work. You have a lot of life work.
Yes.
Yes to all the above.
Yes.
Yes. Does it feel overwhelming?
It does a little.
A little bit, right? Does it feel like it's not enough?
Yes,
Uh-huh. In what way? Business-wise?
business-wise.
Okay. Okay, put it aside, skip to the next page, and we'll come back to it in a little bit. All right, so your worksheet, we're going to kind of go through this together. Minimizing distractions, increasing focus, and building momentum. All right, so what is the greatest trap we face when we're getting our things done, starting the week out, getting things rolling, especially on a Monday morning?
Distractions.
Yes.
Distractions.
Distractions, staying on your agenda, right?
Sticking to your calendar.
Why is that?
Schedule.
Because we are innately.
We all have ADD.
Distracted.
We're what?
We are innately distracted. Like it's just difficult to stay on task.
Yeah, and I almost feel like it's hard, like our world makes it hard. This sounds like an obvious statement, but our world makes it really hard to concentrate even on things that you enjoy. Like Tyler always tells me one of the things that he uses to decompress each day is just to sit on the couch and watch TV at the end of the day, but he's on his phone the whole time he's watching TV, and I'm like, are you watching this movie or are you just playing on your phone? And like he can't just sit and watch a movie. He has to have like multiple things happening. I saw a sign one time and I should have purchased it. I guess I could go back and purchase it. It's at that Eclectic Finds where that Walgreens used to be over there, that crazy store. And it said multitasking, the art of screwing a bunch of things up all at once. Isn't that so true? I'm like, that is me. Like, I'm always like, I'm such a good multitasker. No, I'm not. I like to feel that way, but so let's think about life in general. So as we are doing all of these things at once, we've got a quote on there. The future seems like it's a long way from today. Is it really? No. And it depends on how you define future, right? But you've heard the saying that the days are blank and the years are blank.
Yeah, they're long and the years are short.
The days are long and the years are short. How the heck does that happen and what the heck does that mean?
When you're in the trenches, you think that it's going to last forever, sort of.
Yeah.
But then when you look back, you're like, oh my gosh, that last year just flew by.
Flew by, especially with kids growing up or life changes, right? It's difficult because you just don't think through day-to-day activities until it's accumulated and then it's all gone. So I think that's something for us to really focus in on. Stephen Covey is the king of so many amazing life lessons and a couple big good books, all that stuff. He talks a lot about focus and things that help us stay focused. So talk to me about this circle that's on the screen and on your worksheet. I'll put it here just so. Yeah, there you go. That should help, right? This is from, I don't know which book of his this is from, but this is his main concept, right? What are these circles?
For me, it really helps with like feeling anxious and anxiety because it really has you focus on the center, which is what you can control, and really in real life, that's all that really matters. And then the circle just past it is people you could influence, so your spouses, your friends, your kids. So something that you do have some control over, but not ultimate control.
Yep.
And then the last one is social media. It's politics. It's all this stuff that stresses everybody out. But in real life,
Right. So I love that. Perfect synopsis. So we've got the center of control, or the circle of control, your circle of influence, and your circle of concern. So the two that I want to focus on are what?
Stuff you can control.
Yeah, these two, the center two. Where do we typically spend the most time? Yeah, usually that center of concern. So Alex had mentioned social media. What's another thing that goes into the center of concern? Huh? The news. Yeah, gosh. Yes, I know, right? The news. What else? Bring it to real estate. What is an example or two of things in the center of concern?
Your client situation and your clients.
Mm-hmm. I think those can go in both,
Both,
concern
yeah.
and influence. We'll circle back on that because that's a really, really good one. So what else? One more before we tap into that one.
I guess like
The
not
market,
just
like what's going on in the market.
And
Mhm.
some of your inspections, like you can't really control that there's gonna be a bad CO 100.
Yep, so problems, right?
Problems.
Big real estate
I
problems.
mean, you can influence that, but
The market, interest rates, as Melissa had said, the market, that's a huge one. What about something that comes up a lot in sales businesses, sales industries, when you're all heading toward the end of the year and it's time to wrap up and think about goals, quotas, goals, comparison. That's what I was going for, right? Like looking up what somebody else is doing and how well or how bad they're doing and how that compares to what you're doing.
But what, I've never looked.
Why do people do that?
I mean, it's a personality thing.
Yeah, I
know
guess there is.
Lisa Northup tells me she does it all the time.
Yeah.
Why, though?
I think some people are just
because-
inspired that way.
It drives me.
Yeah.
It does.
So I'm very competitive, so it
Yeah.
drives me. Or like when I go on a listing presentation, I know I'm going up against somebody. I want to know who I'm going up against.
What their production is, you mean? Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's
Well,
a
and I-
personality thing.
Yeah.
I think it's fun.
I know.
Either. Well, Lisa would call me and say, "Did you know you're?" I'm like, "No, I don't care."
That's okay. I mean, and
Maybe if I was a lot younger,
yeah, could be.
it might have been that way. I don't know.
Well, and it doesn't make it wrong for somebody to feel the way that they feel like, hey, I'm going to check this person's stats and see how they're doing compared to how I'm doing. Some people get validation from that too. Like, okay, we're all having an off year. That feels good. Or we're all having a great year. That feels good. So it just depends. But I think,
like Paige said, it for her, it's a motivator.
yeah.
That's what Lisa says too.
It's
I don't think anything's wrong with it.
No, I don't
Yeah.
either.
No,
It's
I
your
think
personality.
I think it's your business model too.
Mm-hmm.
So back in the day when we had expires, which if you can find me one, let me know. Back in the day, I was going up against people I had no clue about
Who they were, yeah.
who they were. So I really didn't need to know my competition. So that was just the way I did it.
I think it does help. I mean, it's just that if we spend too much time focused on it,
Yeah, focus on it.
yeah.
Mine was strategizing. So it was a way of me to
Sure.
strategize. Okay, so yes, they sold a million whatever plus this year, but they did it all in North Charleston.
Whatever,
not
and
over in Mount Pleasant.
yeah.
So that gives me a talking point with somebody, the people I'm going in with. I mean, it's just a strategy for me.
Yeah, it's totally fine. Okay, so jumping from circle, so we know we spend a lot of time in that circle of concern. We want to spend the most time in that circle of influence and control. So Nia had mentioned client situations, right? Is that what you had said?
Yeah.
So talk to me about how that can be something that you can influence or something that you could get wrapped up in the concern of. What would an example of it be? How about your client's emotions in general? You know, so
Somebody can't.
you have a situation with a client and you're needing to do a price reduction. You're trying to get them to do a price reduction. They won't do it. And they're getting completely absorbed in the why. Like maybe they're like, the neighbor down the street just sold for $50,000 more than what you're asking us to list at and blah, blah, blah. Getting wrapped up in that emotion side is the concern part. But getting to the point of influencing them is the part that we have a little bit of push on. That might not be the best example, but you know what I'm trying to say here. What are some things in our market that, in our business, that we can influence?
Communication.
Yep. Communication is a huge one. We can also control it, right?
Yeah.
What else?
Our own mindset.
Our mindset. Mm-hmm.
Number one.
Yep. Habits, for sure. How about schedule and routine?
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. People say that we can't control our schedules because we're in real estate. No way. We absolutely can. Yes, your schedule might look a little different than a 9 to 5 Monday through Tuesday. Wouldn't that be a great week? Yeah, you guys are off tomorrow. After that, you're done. Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. It might look a little different than that, but we can definitely control and influence that. Dave Sansom always says, control what we can control and influence what we can influence. And that is a really powerful thought process. What can I control today and what can I influence today? And then what do you do with everything else? Let it go, right? Let it roll off your back. We have a hard time accepting, sometimes, especially in real estate, the things that are in the center of concern that are not in the center of influence that we want in the center of influence. Things like politics and interest rates and people other than us doing things that we don't approve of or like. So I think this is hugely helpful for us to just remind ourselves. It's a great little visual to just stick on your mirror, stick on your desk, stick somewhere. You could just Google it, Stephen Covey's Centers of Control and Influence. It's just helpful to be reminded of. I know I should have stickers made, right? Maybe I will. That's a good idea. I'm going to make note. Make stickers. Yeah, it's a great idea. Especially between now and the end of the year. This time of year gets very, very stressful, not only just because of the business shift, but because of the holidays coming, you know? So if we can just focus on the things that we can control and influence, we'll be in good shape for the rest of the year. All right, so let's jump forward and scroll over here. So let me scroll down a little bit and talk about habits. So if we're talking about things we can influence and control, how does that align with habits? Yep.
You start with good habits, like sticking to a schedule. Make a schedule, stick to it,
Mm-hmm.
and then it's going to be, yes.
Yep.
Get the results later.
So I'm going to read this third bullet here to you, and you tell me what goes in the top blanks. If you're willing to do what is easy, life will be hard. But if you're willing to do what is hard, life will be easy. So that statement, I'm going to read it again. If you're willing to do what is easy, life will be hard. But if you're willing to do what is hard, life will be easy. That statement reminds me of the visual from the book, The Slight Edge. You know what visual I'm talking about? Where it's got like arrows going up and going down. So good habits are what now and what delayed. So I'm going to give you two words, sacrifice and reward. So which goes first?
Sacrifice now.
Yep. So good habits give you a sacrifice now, and the reward comes later. And then on the contrary, bad habits give you reward now and sacrifice later. What'd you say?
But it's so fun.
It is fun. Absolutely. And we could even change sacrifice to consequence, right?
Right, yeah.
Punishment. No, just kidding. What's in it? Like, how do you put that into an example? Describe what that means to me or to you.
Well, good habits sometimes, like sacrifice, taking the time to do things like
Yeah.
getting on the phone or writing your notes or doing a devotional
Mm-hmm.
or
Yep. Especially if it's not your normal routine, right? It's painful in the beginning. Take a personal, let's come back to real estate in a second and take what Pam just said, working out. How hard is it to start working out when you haven't worked out in a long time? It's not part of your routine. I literally have a huge quote on my mirror that says, if you don't want to keep starting over, stop giving up. And I'm like, dang it. It's so true though, like, because it's so hard to start again. It's so much easier to just stay on it, but when you fall off, it's hard. So that's a sacrifice you make in the beginning. You give up time, you give up fun, you get some pain, some discomfort, and then the reward comes down the road, which is why it's so hard to stay consistent, because we don't get that instant reward. So flip it and tell me about how bad habits are reward now and sacrifice later. Like what? Put that in real estate.
Super fun to go to the beach where we could all be right now.
Yeah.
But there will certainly be sacrifice later because you won't have fun.
Right. Yes. Skip the Ninja 9 for a day. No big deal. Skip the Ninja 9 for another day. No big deal. Skip the Ninja 9 for a third day. And you're like, I don't care. Doesn't have any impact, right? And then you're like a month in and you're like, oh crap. I have no business. So that brings it real hard to hear, right? It's funny because when we did the 12-week year, or if you know the 12-week year concept, they have you identify goals and then obstacles that are going to come in the way of those goals. And then they say, okay, so if your goal in the next 12 weeks is to write 3 contracts, okay, well, what's an obstacle to that? I have no clients. That's a good obstacle. Okay, well, what are you going to do about that obstacle? And identify your solutions to it right now. So when the obstacle starts presenting itself, you have a plan. Otherwise, when the obstacle presents itself, what are you going to do if you don't have a written out plan? Yeah, you're like, okay, now where do I go? And it's a lot easier to just go away than to face it. So that's something that this relates to pretty significantly too. So one more time, if you're willing to do what is easy, life will be hard. If you're willing to do what is hard, life will be easy. Kimberly likes to say, just eat the toad or eat the frog. That's what she says, eat the frog. Just get the hard part of your day over. Just get it done early, and then you're good to go.
That's why I work out early.
Yep, if you don't do it early,
I could never
Me
do that.
especially.
I mean, I know some people are late afternoon people.
Yeah.
But the earlier the better.
Yep, my whole day is so much better. My mind's so much more clear if I do it in the morning. Yeah, I agree with you.
My husband always thinks I'm crazy when I cook it.
Crack of dawn to get it done. It is hard to get out of that warm, snuggly bed, though, that's for sure. Sacrifice now, reward later. All right, so then let's jump forward to talking about your agenda and pulling those habits forward into your agenda. So we have 2 parts of doing real estate. What are we talking about?
Front stage, back stage.
You're close. Before that.
On the business?
Yes. On and in, right? So you have to work on the business. She's a ninja.
John Brewer. And Barbara Southworth.
You've got to work on the business and you've got to work in the business. Both are necessary. What's the difference?
Well, working on your business would be like going to training and
This, right?
mastery and whatever. That's on the business.
Mm-hmm.
In the business is actually going out and doing the business, because you can do on your business all day long.
Yes.
But until you start implementing it, you're not in your business.
Yes. So in your business is you, a client, face-to-face or voice-to-voice. We used to always say just face-to-face, but now with COVID, sometimes you're just voice-to-voice with people, right? Make sure it's not spam. I almost
Or even
said fraud.
Notes.
Fraud and
I mean,
spam.
Just big communication.
Yeah. You and a client is in your business. What you saying, Nia?
I was gonna say that's true.
Mm-hmm. And then on your business is all the other stuff. You know the exercise that we've done, pie time? So talk to me about why both of these are necessary and how it relates to pie time. So pie time is same concept. It's productive time, indirectly productive time, and everything else. I was like, what's the E? Everything else. Yeah. Productive time, indirectly productive time, and everything else. So everything else has its own segment, not in one of these categories. On and in your business wraps it into the P time and the I time. So productive time would be considered probably what? On or in?
In.
Yeah. In, right? Face to face, you, a client. Indirectly productive time,
Would be on your business.
working on your business. You need time working on your business in order to get time in your business. Yes, we need both. Where do we love to spend the most time?
In our business.
In the business. And if we're not working in the business, we think we are what? Out of business. And it's so hard to get our heads around that. And what is this fall season for?
On the business.
On the business. If you could get in the business, by all means, have at it. But this is like the most popular time to work on our business. And it happens to us every year. And what do we do every year? Panic, right? Right.
Poor mouth magnet.
That's okay. That's okay. I can handle it. So let's jump forward again, bringing all these things together and talk about the schedule and your agenda. So now we're talking what Alex had just said about Michael Hyatt's Free to Focus book, because I haven't read this book in a really long time, where he talks about front stage, backstage, and off stage. So same exact concepts as we're talking about. I know. John Brewer has one at Ninja.
You should have like a library where you could just go in, get them, take them back. I don't wanna buy them.
Yeah, Brewer has them all at Salt Point.
Top boy, yeah.
Yeah, there's a whole,
And the training room.
yeah, a whole little
And he lets you
section.
check 'em out.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So Shakespeare's quote, "All the world's a stage, and all the men and women are merely players. They have their exits and their entrances, and one man in his time plays many parts." Well, if that is not the truest statement about real estate, that you play many parts, I don't know what is truest statement. Okay, so we're talking about the schedules. We're talking about front stage, backstage, and off stage. What do these mean?
Front stage would be like in your business.
Yep, front stage is in.
And backstage is
On.
On.
And off stage is having fun.
Everything else.
Yes. Yes. All of these are equally as important as one another. Would you agree?
Yes.
Yeah.
But you never, on the off stage, you never know if it's really not business, because
Mhm.
if you're,
Mhm.
you just never know in real estate,
Ye-
because people, I mean, I told Maggie I was having an ultrasound. This girl goes, "Oh, you're in real estate, oh, you know, I'm like, oh my God, I'm laying.
You're like, I don't want to talk real estate right now.
But
You're right.
It kept my mind off it.
Which is also the flip side to that, right? So if we're off stage getting an MRI or relaxing at the pool or something, and someone wants to talk to you about real estate, you're not going to say no because you're salespeople. But is it okay to say no? How do you say no in that scenario?
Why would you want to?
Well, because you're off stage.
If I'm doing something and I get a call.
Yeah.
And, like yesterday, we're heading to church, and I get some,
Random sales call.
yeah,
Mhm.
and I'm like, "Do you know it's Sunday morning?" "Well, yeah." And I said, "Well, do you know a lot of people go to church?" And he goes,
He's like,
"Well,
no.
I hadn't thought about it." He figured I could get people, and I said, "Well, guess what? You're not getting me, and you should not call people on Sunday morning."
Mic
I'm
drop.
like, it was not, I wasn't being ugly, but I'm like, Sunday
Yeah.
mornings. Ugh.
Well, what do you do in that scenario? Let's say it's not Sunday morning. Maybe it's Sunday afternoon after church, and you're off stage. You're spending family time, or you're out somewhere and you see somebody and they walk up to you.
Oh, no. Well, if they call me, it's different than seeing.
Yeah.
But if they call, I always say, you know, this is my Sunday, and if I'm not showing, I'm off. So you can call me back tomorrow. If it's something of a sale.
Yeah,
If
something.
it's a person that's, hey, I'm
Think about
get
selling.
together, but it's all my house.
Mm-hmm. And I think it's perfectly okay to do that. So if somebody calls you even on Sunday and they say, I want to list my house, don't go into a full-on listing presentation conversation right
Yeah,
there.
so you just say,
Yep,
you know,
exactly.
I'll get the information, I'll call you tomorrow.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But that also sets the worst expectation.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. You mean answering.
Yeah,
And not
I think whatever
controlling
you
it.
say, you're gonna do.
And a lot of
I
times
agree.
I'll look at my phone,
Mm-hmm.
you know, depends on.
Depends on who's calling. Yeah. All right. So that's good. We'll come back to that. Tell me what backstage is. Tell me more about that.
Advertising,
Mm-hmm.
notes,
Database,
social media.
Where would a real estate review prep fall in?
backstage.
Backstage, right? Where does real estate review presentation, consultation, conversation fall in?
Front.
Front stage, right? Again, where do we like to spend the most time?
Front stage.
Yep. Where do we think we are worth the most when we're in what?
Front stage.
Front stage. Honestly, after so many years of being in this business, if you asked me in the very beginning, I would say front stage all the way. I only want to be front stage, only front stage. Don't make me do any dirty work. I only want to be front stage. Well, okay, that's not how it works.
Not true.
Yeah.
Unlikely.
Yeah, I'm an athlete. I understand I have to go to practice in order to perform well in a game. I would be really, really, really mad if I went to practice every single day and I never got to play. That would be really, really hard. There were times where that would happen, right? When I just wasn't good enough yet. I wasn't skilled enough yet to go into the big leagues. That happens in real estate. It's all the same. But if you ask me today where I think the most important time spent, sorry, there's something in my eye today. The most important time spent, I would tell you off stage. Why?
Well,
Keep your mindset.
Mm-hmm.
it gets your head clear.
Yep.
You're more, you're more focused, you're more,
What are 3 words that we use all the time in Ninja that remind you of these 3 categories?
Your why, your family,
Yeah, more about that. One's this,
mindset.
your mindset. What's the next one? The Ninja 9, what do we call those? Your skill set, right? So like,
Skill set, action.
and actions. In that order for a reason. This is mindset, this is probably skill set, and those are actions. This could be a little bit of actions too. But mindset is off stage, skill set is mostly backstage, and actions are going to be your front stage. So I really should have put those in the reverse order just to keep it all similar with mindset, skill set, and actions. But if your mindset is not in the right place, you could be the most skilled person in the room going up for that listing presentation against 5 other agents. You could be the most expert, been in the business 15 years, best negotiator, all the things. But if you're just there because you need a paycheck, it does not matter.
No,
Yep. If you're there and you're miserable because you haven't had a good meal in 4 days, it's going to come out. So that to me is the most critical, and they all generate each other. So your mindset stuff puts you in a better place to do backstage work. And your backstage stuff puts you in opportunities to have front stage time. They're all very, very important, but I think the problem that we run into is that we feel the most worth and sometimes our only worth in front stage. So if we're not spending all this time in our schedules with P time or front stage time or action time, we're like, I got nothing going on. Well, there's a reason you have nothing going on. How much backstage time have you put in this week? Not much. Okay. So let's keep that in mind. Let's keep rolling forward here. Look at your weeks again that you started with on the calendar thing. I want you to put a star on your calendar next to everything you wrote down that is off stage. So any of the you time, any of the fitness time, and if you don't have enough you time, put stars where you're going to add you time this week. Put stars in your schedule right now where you're going to add off stage time.
I'm going away from
Heck yeah, girl.
stage.
Off stage Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. That's awesome. You better develop a plan if somebody calls you.
I have someone.
Perfect. Okay, now put a triangle on all of your backstage time. So mastery would be one. Any like listing prep time, open house prep time, stats summary time, sales meeting time would be backstage. And then put a circle next to all of your front stage time or your productive time. And tally up your circles, triangles, and stars.
What was the circle for you?
Yeah, your front stage. Actions, productive time. How many stars do you have?
That was like family time and stuff.
Yep.
8.
Good. Good. Mia, how many stars you got?
5.
Okay, that's good. Keeping Nia in check because she's like superwoman back there with a million things happening in her world.
Yeah.
50 different hats she's wearing. Paige, how many stars you got?
7.
Good.
I've had a paradigm shift because Dave always said I did not have enough stars.
Mm-hmm.
That 1 and 2 were always predominant, and now it's reversed,
Yeah.
and I'm 20.
Mm-hmm. So how much backstage time do you have?
That's good too.
Okay.
1, 2, 3, 5.
Good, 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 good. And then don't get caught up in the circle time that you put, the pie time, the action time, the front stage, the face-to-face, because that's going to come if the other two take care. If the other two happen, the mindset part, the skill set part, the backstage part, the offstage part, the front stage happens. It's just a direct consequence. Yeah. But the problem is we don't get it fast enough. It doesn't happen quick enough, and we're like, ditch the offstage, ditch the skill set, and let's just figure out how to get face-to-face with a client. I get it. It's part of the hustle you need to survive in this business, but this is also part of the structure that needs to happen. And this is the best time of year to do it. I think, too, if we get caught up in the multitasking thing, we get really, really caught up. And like we said, multitasking is the art of doing several things, screwing up several things all at the same time. We should get that as a sticker, too. So a solution to trying to do too much would be time blocking. I love time blocking. I'm not the greatest at it. I used to be really, really good. I do much better time blocking when I have a very full schedule. I think most people are probably that way because it's hard to time block out time just for you to sit there and do something by yourself, right? Like if somebody's depending on you, it's a lot easier to time block.
And it's great to say, I have a meeting, sorry, I can't stay.
Yeah, gotta go. Bye. Kimberly is a very good person with that. She's very structured, so if you want influence from Kimberly, she's, I'm sure, willing to share it. But she puts herself in certain things in her schedule, and there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. That's what's happening that time. I literally put in my calendar colors, and I have a template, and I hold it over my calendar when I'm feeling like I'm kind of spinning out of control, and I'm like, well, that's not supposed to be in that spot. That's not supposed to be in that spot. And it helps. But if time blocking your whole week is overwhelming, start with just a day. Start with 20 minutes. For these next 20 minutes, I'm going to turn my phone and my computer off, and I'm only going to do this task. And just time block out a couple segments of each day.
Especially if you start off with the stuff you hate the most.
Yeah, get it over with.
And that's what
Like the workout?
The workout, the phone calling.
Yeah.
Phone calling for me was number one.
Yep.
Then you can write your thank you notes.
Yep.
That was number two that I didn't like.
Mm-hmm.
Then you get to go on listening presentations, and then you get, so you have your set schedule, but start with the stuff you hate the most.
You're so right. And that's for everything in life. It's funny how we can take all these life lessons and bring them into our real estate world, and vice versa. We can take these real estate lessons and bring them into our regular world. Like I was talking to my nephew on the phone because he wouldn't eat his dinner over the weekend, and I was like, you gotta eat your broccoli first, and then you can have your chicken. And like, okay, he hates broccoli, so eat the broccoli, and then you can have the chicken. And he ate all of his broccoli just because we were talking. He was distracted, and we made it a game. But it's the same thing. Eat the thing you hate the most, and then you get to have the reward, right? So if you can't figure out from your schedules where you need to be at that point in terms of like the balance between your stars, your circles, your triangles, your offstage, your front stage, and your backstage, let me help you. We know what activities have to go in your schedules based on what your goals are for the end of the year. You have 105 days left. That's plenty of time to crush some goals. And then once you have that plan and that routine, let's focus on building the momentum. So what is this equation right here on the screen?
Something over time.
Yeah. What is it? I don't know if Dave Sansa made this up or where it came from, but
Finding, fixing. I don't know.
people say this, the letter I, people use that to describe me all the time. Yes.
Focus intensity.
Yes.
Time.
Success equals focused intensity over time. So, in summary, you've got that schedule, and you could literally have 20-minute segments, 15-minute segments, 10-minute segments. It doesn't have to be every hour of the day is accounted for in time block, as long as there's a little bit of each segment in there. And what goes in first? The offstage time, the you time. Because if you don't put you in there first, you're out. You're going to be last. And then last usually equals not at all. And remember we talked about sacrifice now, reward later. Putting you outside the schedule is easy to do for a week or two. Putting yourself last is easy to do for 2 weeks. But then after 3 weeks, you are not a nice person to yourself or anyone around you. I can't even get to week 2. I'm like, at the end of week 1, I'm like a bear. So if you can get that balanced schedule at the top of that calendar, schedule, routine, whatever you want to call it, that you've got, I want you to strike through where it says my week and write my perfect week. And finish this today and make it your template. So that heading at the top should say my perfect week instead of my week on the calendar page.
Oh.
Just strike through that and write my perfect week. And use this as your template for the rest of the year. How many weeks left are there? What's 105 divided by 7? I don't know. A bunch of weeks left. If you could set this as something that you can look at as a routine and ideal and strive towards that every week, you could have success equaling focused intensity over amount of time. You would have a big amount of success at the end of the year. But you can't build momentum off of a scattered schedule and routine. We need that template. We need that structured measure to help us figure it out. And if we don't start with putting ourselves in there, you're going to be last and you're never going to be able to achieve it. Because mindset's first, skill set, and then actions. So a couple of final thoughts. Anybody have anything else to add to that stuff? You've made a perfect week before, I'm sure, right? When's the last time you made one? A while, right? Cassidy and I have not made one together, but Tony, Alyssa, and I made one together, and it's just so helpful. And I looked at it the other day when I was prepping for this on Friday, and I was like, I need to make one of these with Cassidy, and she's going to be like, wait, we're making a what? And she's going to be so confused at first, and then she's going to be like, okay, this helps. She likes structure. She likes checklists.
I love it.
Yeah, it's great. So, final thoughts. All of this is a choice. You don't have to do this. You don't have to show up. You don't have to make a routine. You don't have to make a week schedule. It's a complete choice. If you live on purpose, according to your plan, work your plan and plan your week and work your plan, amazing impact, amazing changes can happen. We talk about living on accident versus living intentionally, and we talk about the invisible agent and the on-purpose agent. You know the differences. But in summary, you either run the business or what?
It runs you.
The business runs you. So the perfect week isn't going to happen every week. It's not ideal. But if you can get close to it, or even just a perfect day, you're heading in the right direction. So if you need help with it, let me know. But remember, circles go first. That's your front stage. That's your everything else. That's your you. The most important people in your life, those go in first. Backstage goes in next. And that will create the front stage, the face-to-face client time. And remember, when you're making your schedules, what can I control and what can I influence this week? And everything else rolls off your back. Good? Cool. Thanks for being here, girls. It's been a fun one. We need to get some more men